5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Live to this from the Pittsboro Roadhouse in Pittsboro, North Carolina, the Music Loft presents the Tokyo Rosenthal program.
1, 2, 3, 4. First thing I remember knowing, lonesome whistle blowing, young in this dream of growing up to ride on a freight train leaving town, not knowing where I'm bound. No one could change my mind, but Mama tried. One and only rebel child from a family meek and mild, Mama seemed to know what laid in store. Despite of all my Sunday learning, more than that I kept on turning, Mama couldn't hold me anymore. And I turned 21 in prison, doing life without parole. No one could steer me right, but Mama tried. Mama tried to raise me better, but her pleading I denied. That leaves only me to blame, 'cause Mama tried. Light it up, boys! Daddy rest his soul, left my mama heavy load. She tried so very hard to fill his shoes, working hours without rest, wanted me to have the best. She tried to raise me right, but I refused. And I turned 21 in prison, doing life without parole. No one could steer me right, but Mama tried. Mama tried to raise me better, but her pleading I denied. That leaves only me to blame, 'cause Mama tried. That leaves only me to blame, 'cause Mama tried. That leaves only me to blame, 'cause Mama tried. Well, all right, yeah. And another cordial welcome to the Tokyo Rosenthal program. I'm your host, Tokyo Rosenthal, coming to you, as always, from the Pittsboro Roadhouse in Pittsboro, North Carolina. And guess what? That wasn't me all by myself on that last song. It was the fabulous Sap Boilers who are in the house tonight, and they'll be coming back on the program in a little while. Along with later in the broadcast, the legendary Marshall Ballew is here. So we've got a fantastic show, the final one of season number 3. So I'm going to run down a few little housekeeping items they have for me to read to you here, and then we'll get on with the show. We have a fantastic last show here. Gio, do you have anything to do with booking all of this? Because it's excellent. Gio's shaking his head because he's on mic tonight, so just checking him out there. Our sound, please give him a round of applause because we have a fantastic setup on here. Gio DeSocio, our producer and sound man. Thank you. This, as we mentioned, is the last show of season number 3. We'll be back here on June 4th through early August. But don't fret, we will have reruns. The best of will be running every week, thanks to the auspices of Gio DeSocio. So keep tuning in. I'm sure there's some episodes you missed along the way or want to hear again. And we have some great guests on those shows, including Ace and T-Bone, who will be on some of the reruns. So, and they will be in the next season as well. So make sure we will be continuing the no-ticket policy. No tickets needed to get in here at the Pittsboro Roadhouse, and that's increased our audiences exponentially. So keep doing that. I've been asked to tell you I'm going to be at the Kraken in Chapel Hill on April 10th. I'll be at the Catawba Coffee House April 30th, along with our friend David Childers over there in Mount Holly. And May 8th, I'll be at the Roost in Fearington Village, walking distance from here. So, and for those of you listening internationally, we are going to Ireland and the UK. And we'll be starting over there on October 1st. More information coming up about that. And that's thanks to our good friend Mike Green over there. And finally, all members of the audience tonight get the free bumper sticker from the Music Loft. 2,000 people getting up here. They're running over to the table. They're getting their merchandise. The fantastic bumper sticker. And of course, everybody wants one of the business cards put out there by Wrecking Ball Radio. Everybody needs an extra business card. So I think that covers everything we have here. If I forget later, let me thank you very much for tuning in for this entire season and looking forward to seeing you next season. But for now, those fantastic pickers and grinners that you saw playing with me just now on Mama Tried, which is an appropriate song as my mother's sitting in the audience tonight. So, strictly a coincidence, right, guys?
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
Please, let me introduce one of our local favorites from around here, the great Sap Oilers.
I've seen the lightning flashing and heard the thunder roll. I've endured. How long must one endure? Barefoot in the summer, mouths to feed, they could not clothe a song. Sent to church on Sunday to learn the golden rule. I've endured. How long must one endure? I've seen many a heartache and I'll see many more. I've lived love and sorrow, been to success's door. I've endured. How long must one endure? Born in the mountains many years ago, I've climbed these hills and valleys through all the rain and snow. I've seen the lightning flashing and heard the thunder roll. I've endured. How long must one endure? I've endured. How long must one endure?
All right, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It's a tune by North Carolina native. Miss Ola Belle Reed wrote that song from up in northwestern North Carolina. She was a wonderful songwriter and banjo picker, I guess back in the 40s and 50s. That song was, I guess, made more famous by Mr. Tim O'Brien, who recorded it. We're going to do one now by a friend of ours named Neil Toner, who is an Irish singer-songwriter. We met at IBMA in 2013. And he was nice enough to show us this song. It's called The Promise. When the blue shadows reach across the final hours of day, and the sun on the hillside's going down, I hear your voice calling, though you're far away, bringing comfort as twilight comes around. You said remember what we promised. I'll remember to
till I come back. Come back to you. You said remember when you're lonely, I'll remember too. The promise that I'm keeping just for you. As the years come and go like lilies in the field, and our love grows like the lilacs in the spring. Tears may fall when you leave, but you'll be back again. Bringing comfort, we'll remember when we sing. You said remember what we promised. I'll remember too till I come back. Come back to you. You said remember when you're lonely, I'll remember too. The promise that I'm keeping just for you. You said remember what we promised. I'll remember too till I come back. Come back to you. You said remember when you're lonely, I'll remember too. The promise that I'm keeping just for you. Thank you
Sap
all so
Boilers,
much.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank
Well,
you so
good
much.
evening, guys. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you, Tokyo. Thank you so much for having us. I appreciate that.
Even better than sound check, which is incredible.
Amazing. I know. Isn't it?
Yeah. Brian, how about doing this? Why don't you introduce the rest of the band for everybody?
Thank you. I'd love to, yeah. Starting down on the far end, playing the mandolin and guitar, we have Greg Hinkle. Mr. Greg Hinkle. Originally from Oklahoma, now making his home just around the corner here in Pittsburgh. On the upright bass, from Asheboro, North Carolina, Mr. Lynn Camp. And on the guitar here with the hubcap on it, also known as a dobro or resophonic guitar, helping me out with the harmonies, from right here in Chatham County, Mr. Dan Mahoney.
And you are?
My name is Brian Thomas, and I hail from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Well, it's great to have you
Thank
guys
you.
here. You know, every time I'm interviewed on any kind of show, inevitably everybody wants to know how I got the name Tokyo. You guys have the same burden. Everybody wants to know how you got the name Sap Boilers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so Dan is originally from Vermont, which is well known for its maple syrup making. And we were kind of trying to think, well, how could we fit something like that in? And actually, there's some maple syrup making in western North Carolina and southwestern Virginia. And we just kind of came up with the sap boilers because that's what you do as part of the process of making maple syrup. You boil down the sap. And the only time I've ever seen that done, there were a bunch of old guys sitting around this fire kind of watching water evaporate. So that kind of fit us, I think. We sort of felt like that described our feel, you know.
So how'd you all meet? Because you have a sound. I mean, you guys fit together like a glove here. I mean, really.
Well, we met just, you know, as in a lot of cases, playing in different configurations and different bands over the years. Greg has known Lynn for a long time. Greg has known Dan for a while, and we just kind of all managed to find ourselves in different jam sessions and thought, you know, this might be something we want to try.
Now, a little birdie told me you guys are working on a record.
We are just finishing up a recording project. We were fortunate enough to record with Steve Dilling and Skip Cherryholmes of the band Sideline. And we are putting the finishing touches on that. It's kind of a demo project, and we'll have that out shortly on our Facebook page, definitely, and also probably on our Reverb Nation page, too.
So people want to follow Sap Boilers?
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook. Just look up The Sap Boilers on Facebook, and we would like it if you liked us.
You spell it T-H-E, just like it sounds.
I knew that part.
Okay. Sap, S-A-P, sap with one P.
Right.
And then, boilers, like the chickens. Yeah, yeah.
All right. You guys got a couple more songs for us?
We do have a couple more tunes.
Take it away.
Thank you. Walk on water. Another Neil Toner song here for you. Here's a gospel tune that Neil wrote, and Dan is going to take over on the lead vocals for this one. It's a tune called Walk on Water.
It was dark out on the water. The wind and the waves were rolling. The terrified disciples thought surely they would die. In the fourth watch of the morning, they saw Jesus walking towards them, speaking words of wisdom. Take courage, it is I. Have a little faith.
Have a little faith.
Walk on water.
Walk on water.
Keep your eye on Jesus. You won't be afraid. Have a little faith.
Have a little faith.
You won't falter.
You won't falter.
Have a little faith. Have a little faith. Walk on water. Master, if it's really you, let me walk out on the water. Jesus said to Peter, step out and come to me. But Peter started sinking, and he thought that he might drown. But the Savior took him by the hand and saved him from the sea. Have a little faith.
Have a little faith.
Walk on water.
Walk on water.
Keep your eye on Jesus. You won't be afraid. Have a little faith.
Have a little faith.
You won't falter.
You won't falter.
Have a little faith. Have a little faith. Walk on water. Now sometimes you and I, we get caught up in the storms, tossed by circumstances, make it hard for us to see. We must put our faith in Jesus and reach out for his hand, for he will come to save us if only we believe. Have a little faith.
Have a little faith.
Walk on water.
Walk on water.
Keep your eye on Jesus. You won't be afraid. Have a little faith.
Have a little faith.
You won't falter.
You won't falter.
Have a little faith. Have a little faith. Walk on water. Have a little faith. Have a little faith. Walk on water.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, next up we got a tune written by a friend of Dan's, also named Dan, right? Banjo Dan. How about that?
Yeah, this song was written by Dan Lindner, also known as Banjo Dan. He's a great banjo player from Vermont and a good songwriter. This one's called Sweet Laura Lee.
In the peace of the evening, by the warmth of a fire, as I rock with a blanket on my knee. Through a lifetime of memories, I return to my favorite, my first love, my sweet Laura Lee. All the grace of a willow in the first breath of spring seemed to flow through her limbs so young and fair. As we roamed o'er the mountains and the meadows hand in hand, picking buttercups and braiding them to her hair. It's that touch of the Irish, that blush on her face, while her green eyes shone brightly on me. And her long copper tresses flow softly through my hand. How I loved her, my sweet Laura Lee. me looking backwards now. I can't remember why Laura left my side to wander far away. But I'll cherish for a lifetime all the happiness we knew, and I'll love her till I've lived my final day. It's that touch of the Irish, that blush on her face, while the green eyes shone brightly on me. And her long copper tresses flow softly through my hands. How I loved her, my sweet Laura Lee. Now my time is nearly over. I'm an old man all alone with old memories to keep me company. As the flames turn to embers, she appears before my eyes as an angel come calling to me. It's that same old touch of Irish, that blush on her face, while her green eyes shine brightly on me. And her long copper tresses flow softly through my hands. Oh, my darling, my sweet Laura Lee. And her long copper tresses flow softly through my hands. Oh, my darling, my sweet Laura Lee.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all so much.
The Sap Boilers, everybody, stay
We
with us.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Marshall Ballew will be right up. Welcome back to the Tokyo Rosenthal program at the Pittsboro Roadhouse in Pittsboro, North Carolina. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about our sponsor. We do have a sponsor, and they will be here for next season as well when we start season number 4, the Music Loft of Carrboro, North Carolina. And I got to tell you, this is the best music store in the Triangle area, bar none. Amazing collection of new, used, and vintage guitars, mandolins, banjos, keyboards, and drums. And a great selection of gear to keep your instruments running well. Need a lesson? Everybody needs a lesson now and then. Check in with them because the finest pickers are around and teachers there. Finally, mention the Tokyo Rosenthal program. Just walk in off the street, say Tokyo Rosenthal program, and they'll give you a free gift. We're not sure what it is. I think Gio comes over to your house and makes dinner or something like that. Once again, they're located at 116 West Main Street in Carrboro. Google the Music Loft Carrboro for more info. Those of you listening out of the area, out of the country, get in your car, take a plane, start a caravan, but get to the Music Loft. They're open 7 days a week. These people never rest. Also, one quick reminder again, April 10th, I'll be at the Kraken in Chapel Hill. April 30th, the Catawba Coffee House in Mount Holly along with David Childers. And May 8th, the Roost in Fearington Village. Now for the moment I've been waiting for since season number 1. I've been waiting for this man to show up here. He's a legend in Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, pretty much the whole country and the whole world. Everybody knows about him. We met up at the Bunkhouse in Bulls Gap, Tennessee, and we've been fast friends ever since. So I'm very pleased to finally get on our stage here, Marshall Ballew.
Thank you. Well, I'm mighty tickled to finally make it up here, and I want to thank Tokyo for inviting me to join in his music circus here. We had car trouble last time, but we were able to make it down here on this beautiful day today, so hope you enjoy it. This first song is it's about a fella who was trying to keep up with all the latest trends and the pitfalls that befell him. It's called They Locked the Showroom Door. Well, I was sitting at my doctor's office reading Woman's Day, amazed at what some people wear, what those people pay. It must be the cost of fashion, the rising price of style. $100 for trashed out jeans, still they wear a smile. Now I wasn't in their focus group, didn't fit their mold. Guess I was a bit too fat, maybe just too old. They must have seen me coming, guess it made them sore. 'Cause just as I come walking up, they locked the showroom door. Yeah, they locked the showroom door and they wouldn't let me in. Guess they wanted younger, I guess they wanted thin, to wear their trashy clothes around and look just like a whore. You know, I couldn't even buy a button when they locked the showroom door. So then I thought, you know, well, a cell phone, that's the accessory for me. NFL Sunday ticket right next to MTV. And teens getting carpal tunnel, texting nonsense back and forth. When I went to get hooked up, they locked the showroom door. Yeah, they locked the showroom door and they hung up in my face. I got a busy signal, yeah, they put me in my place. And I didn't need an LCD for me to know the score. I couldn't even buy a ringtone when they locked the showroom door. Then I went on down the street where they sell the cars. Thought that I'd pick up the model driven by the stars. A candy apple Testarossa, 8-speed on the floor. The salesman to come a-running just to lock the showroom door. Yeah, they locked the showroom door and they wouldn't let me past. I guess they wanted someone with a little bit more class. Now my Ferrari fantasy is turned into a Ford. They turned me around, marched me out, locked the showroom door. Yeah, they put my flat feet on the ground and locked the showroom door. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I got to thinking about how a lot of blues songs are about how I'm hating the blues, and I wish the blues would leave me alone, and I try as hard as I can to get away from the blues just as much as I possibly can. And I got to thinking about it, and it seems like I spend most of my time listening to blues records and go to hear blues artists and buying old 78s and learn blues songs and stuff. And it actually occurred to me that I spend more time looking for the blues than trying to get away from them, it seems like. So with that in mind, I wrote this little song here. And it's got a lot of blues cliches in it. So some of you folks out there familiar with some of the older blues songs probably recognize a few of these things here. This is called In Search of the Blues. Well, I never plowed a mule in the Mississippi sun. I never heard a church bell toll my name. And I didn't meet the devil at the crossroads late last night. But I wonder what it feels like just the same. No one's ever called me blind, boy, even though my eyes are bad. And I never ever had a ride to blinds. And I never felt the whip come down upon that parchment farm. But I still can't seem to get it off my mind. And that's why I'm going in search of the blues. Even if I never wear out the soles of my shoes, yes, I'm going in search of the blues. 'Cause you know sometimes it feels like it's the only thing to do. And And I've never had to whip my woman with a single tree. I've never had to cut her other man. And I've never seen my baby laying on a cooling board. But there's things about it I can understand. And I never stood before Judge Harsh and heard him say to me, boy, I'm gonna give you 99 long years. And I may never be a blues man, but there's one thing that I know. The salt's the same in everybody's tears. That's why I'm going in search of the blues. Even if I never wear out soles of my shoes, yes, I'm going in search of the blues. Cause you know sometimes it feels like it's the only thing to do. Yeah, you know sometimes it feels like it's the only thing to do. Yeah, you know sometimes it feels like it's the only thing to do. Thank you.
Marshall Ballew. Hey, Marsh.
Thanks a lot. Hey, good to see you again.
Hey, for those of you who can't see this on the radio here, how do you keep that guitar so shiny?
Oh, it just shines itself up every night when I put it in the case. I take it out every next gig, and gosh, it's just suddenly shiny again.
It looks gorgeous, and it sounds gorgeous, especially in your hands. So, we were talking. I didn't realize that you grew up in Tryon, North Carolina.
Yes.
And that's a
Home of Nina Simone.
Exactly. And that was kind of surprising to find out that Nina Simone was from Tryon, and of course yourself. So they have two famous musicians from there.
Well, one famous one anyway.
And where did you go from there? Because your travels have been all over the place.
Yeah, I actually went to NC State in Chapel Hill in the 70s. I graduated from Chapel Hill with a degree in theater arts, and then I moved to Colorado for about a decade, and then I moved back to North Carolina to take care of my mom in her declining years. I was an only child, and my dad died when I was very, very young, so I couldn't bring myself to put her in her home, so I decided to move back and just stay with her until she passed on. And then I went over to Isothermal Community College in Spindale and got on WNCW, the public radio station there, and was on there for about 12 years. And lived up near Cherokee, and now we live up near Johnson City, Tennessee.
Right, because we run into each other over in Abingdon.
Yes.
Abingdon, Virginia, and of course at the bunkhouse in Bulls Gap.
That's right.
What do you got coming up? Have you been recording at all?
I haven't been recorded too much. I've done some live stuff. That's about the size of it. I haven't really. I've been on a bunch of different people's records. You mentioned David Childers. I've been on several of his records. Some other folks around Charlotte, the Gospel Playboys, and Michael Reno Harrell. Christine Kane from Asheville. I'm on her first record. But
you're doing something that's coming up that's real exciting. Playing with a mutual. Somebody that we both love.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a fellow that everybody out here's heard on a lot of records. He's been on Jackson Brown's records, James Taylor's, Crosby, Nash, Leonard, Ronstadt. He's on about, I think is almost up to about 600 different albums at this point. It's a fellow named David Lindley, and David was the fiddler and steel guitarist for Jackson Brown on all the Running on Empty shows and that endless tour that they had. And I've always been a big fan of David's, and he and I have crossed paths repeatedly and become friends. And I'm going to open a show for him up in Hickory on April 18th. So
as this is worldwide, that's Hickory, North Carolina.
Yes, Hickory, North Carolina, a place called Acoustic Stage, and he is coming in. He's actually, it's pretty amazing. He's on a 2-month tour. He's touring by himself and going all over the country for 2 months straight.
And what's that date again?
It's April 18th.
April 18th.
In Hickory, North Carolina.
So if you're within the sound of our voices,
yes,
that's where you want to be on April 18th in Hickory, North Carolina.
That's going to be an amazing show. David's one of those people that you never heard of him, but you've heard him, and then if you get to see him, the the level of musicianship is so far above most of the rest of us that it's just absolutely jaw-dropping. Plus,
And if people want to pick up your software, copies of some of your live recordings, how do they get them?
they can go to my Reverb Nation page, reverbnation.com/Marshall Ballew. There's stuff on there. I've also got CDs for sale here tonight, all original stuff. St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner, literally. And so if you want to give someone a gift for that, see me after the show.
And spell Ballew.
It's Ballew, one of about 27 different spellings for that name.
All right. Well, I'm sure everybody's going to go over there and try to pick up a copy of your stuff. Everybody's
hope
going to try to make it out to see you and David Lindley April 18th in Hickory. And what we're going to do is we're going to go sell a few things. We're going to come back, play us a few more tunes.
Sounds good to me.
All right, Marshall Ballew. Back here
Thank
on
you,
the
thank you.
Tokyo Rosenthal program at the Pittsboro Roadhouse in Pittsboro, North Carolina with Marshall Ballew.
All right. Well, I'm living in East Tennessee now. So I'm going to do some Tennessee blues from a fella named Sleepy John Estes. And when he recorded this record, he was just known as John Estes back in the late 1920s. And the original name of this was The Girl I Love, She Got Long Curly Hair. But then Ry Cooder recorded a version of it in the 1970s, and it got to be known as Going to Brownsville. So. I'm going to Brownsville, gonna take that right-hand road. Boys, I'm going to Brownsville, take that right-hand road. And I ain't gonna stop walking till I'm standing in sweet mama's door. Well, the woman I'm loving, she got great long curly hair. Yeah, the woman I'm loving, great long curly hair, yeah. And the mama and the papa, well, they sure don't allow me there. We gotta sneak around. Kind of like this right here. Gotta slip from shadow to shadow. Now when you see my jumper, mama, hanging on your wall, you see my grinning little shadow, mama, he's across your wall. Well, you know by that I means to get my ashes hauled. Tell me what you gonna do, boy, when that sweet dough roller gone. Tell me what you gonna do, boy, when that sweet dough roller's gone. You're gonna have to take it out in that kitchen, boy, and roll that dough out on your own. I'll roll it out now. Don't roll it too thin. You don't want to tear it now. That's why I'm going to Brownsville, gonna take that right-hand road. Boys, I'm going to Brownsville. Take the right-hand road. And I ain't gonna stop walking till I'm standing in sweet mama's door. Thank you. Thanks very much. This next song is going to require a little bit of background, and there's several reasons about it. And the first reason is that is the name. And this song is called Bible Knot Busting. Now, does anybody here know what a Bible knot is? Has anyone here ever heard the term Bible knot? Okay, we got one here. Well, what a Bible knot is, back when folks used to have to work with their hands a lot more in the early part of the country, people would get what's called a ganglial mass or a ganglial knot up on the back of their hand. It'd be like what they called a rising back then. And what they would do is they would take the biggest book in the house, which a lot of times was the only book in the house, generally the Bible, and they'd have you set your hand down on the table, and they'd take the Bible and smash it as hard as they could to try to break the Bible knot up. And of course, some people thought that as with a lot of deformities and maladies, it was a sign that you were a sinner because this had happened to you because you didn't love the Lord enough. So that's where the term Bible knot busting came from. This song also mentions Belshazzar, who was the son of Nebuchadnezzar. And Belshazzar was so foul that he took the goblets from the holy temple, from Herod's temple, and was using them to serve wine at his bacchanalias and his orgies. And one night, in the middle of one of his orgies, a disembodied hand and arm appeared and wrote many, many tekel upharsin on the wall, and no one could understand what that meant. So it was words that no one understood. So they sent for Daniel, because Daniel was very versed in the ways of the Lord, and Daniel interpreted the words as saying that you had been judged the balance and found wanting, and the time of your kingdom had come to an end, and you were going to die before the night was out. And indeed, that came to pass. The Persians came in. Belshazzar was killed that night, and the Persians took over his kingdom. And another verse in here mentions a piano burning in a pickup truck. And this actually happened to Cindy and I. We were coming across Sam's Gap from Tennessee into North Carolina, and traffic was backed up. We couldn't see why. There were fire trucks up ahead and smoke curling up. And we finally got up to where it was. They finally started letting traffic through. And here's a pickup truck sitting there by the road with an upright piano burning up in the bed of it. And, of course, everyone asked, did I get a picture? And, of course, they wouldn't let us stop, so we went on by. But it was a very surreal thing. So all these elements went into this song here, and this is called Bible Knot Busting. Well, my Cadillac's sitting in the driveway rusting, while I'm out busy Bible knot busting, with a King James Version in my hand. I'm gonna punch your ticket to the promised land. Don't let your scriptures get old and dusty, or I'll be coming round Bible knot busting. Now the devil, he's walking all through the land in a beautiful woman or a devilish man. And say you never know the day or hour you're gonna feel the touch of almighty power. So you better stop believing, boy, you better start trusting. Oh, I'll be coming round, Bible not busting. Bible not busting. Bible not busting. Bringing down the holy word, hard on Satan's hand. Now Belshazzar saw the ghostly hand. Write words on the wall, no could understand. Well, his knees didn't knock and his face drained wide. Boy knew his time was up that night. They called Daniel in to read the words that crushed him. And the Persians had come around, Bible not busting. Well, out on the 4-lane, we was all stuck. By a piano burning in a pickup truck. It was like smoke curling up to the sky. It brought Saul for tear till the Savior's high. But he laughed to himself as the fireman rushed in. Cause letting me get back to Bible not busting. Yeah, Bible not busting. Bible not busting. Bringing down the holy word, hard on Satan's hand. Like Cadillac sitting in the driveway rusting. Well, I'm out busy, Bible not busting. And inversion in my hand. I'm gonna punch your ticket to the promised land. Let scriptures get old and dusty. Oh, I'll be coming round, Bible not busting. Bible not busting. Bible not busting. Bringing down the holy word, hard on Satan's hand.
Marshall Ballew, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Well, Marsh, you know, tradition is what tradition is, what
Yeah.
tradition is. And much like your story, we have a tradition here, and we're going to do a little duet together.
All righty.
And we're going to take a little break, though, first. And you'll do the duet with me?
I'll do it.
All right. Well, I didn't want to have to twist your arm. All right, everybody. We'll be right back with our duet with Marshall Ballew. Thank you. Back here at the Pittsboro Roadhouse in Pittsboro, North Carolina on the Tokyo Rosenthal program. And I'm required to tell you that all guests on the Tokyo Rosenthal program receive a gift certificate to the Music Loft in Carrboro, North Carolina. That's worth the trip here alone. Wouldn't you say,
boy.
Marsh? Marsh is excited about that.
I can't wait.
Anyway, can't say enough good things about the folks there who make you feel at home the second you walk in the door, no matter how young or old, whether you're an expert or beginner, high budget or starter budget, this is the store for you. And again, visit the Music Loft and mention the Tokyo Rosenthal program and get a free gift. Just walk in off the street and say that. So come on over there. They're at 116 West Main Street, the Music Loft of Carrboro, North Carolina, open 7 days a week. So once again, we went back and forth this week trying to figure out what to do, and you came up with one of the great recommendations of all time. It was the #1 track on the old Sweetheart of the Rodeo album by the Byrds, written by Bob Dylan, off the Basement Tapes, song called You Ain't Going Nowhere. And we're going to make them forget all those other versions, and this will be the Marshall and Tokyo version. Sound
That's
good?
right. And I want to tell folks to make sure you pay attention to the first verse on this, because boy, is it ever relevant right now. I don't know what kind of weather y'all been having down here, but up in Northeast Tennessee, February has been absolutely kicking us up and down the street with winter weather. So we're so happy to see a little bit of spring coming our way, and it's a wonderful day out there. I also want to thank the folks here at Pittsboro Roadhouse for being such wonderful hosts for the place. They're wonderful food, great staff. If you're in the area, be sure to come by and
Got that right.
and drop in for a meal. You won't regret it.
Here we go. Clouds are swift, the rain won't lift, the gate won't close and the railings froze. Get your mind off wintertime, you ain't going nowhere. Ooh-wee, ride me high, tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Oh no, we gonna fly down in that easy chair. Tell him, Marshall.
Well, I don't care how many letters they sent. Morning came and the morning went. Pick up your money, pack up your tent. You ain't going nowhere.
Ooh-wee, ride me high, tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Oh no, we gonna fly down in that easy chair. Buy me a flute, a gun that shoots, tailgate, no substitutes. Strap yourself to a tree with roots, you ain't going nowhere. Ooh-wee, ride me high, tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Oh no, we gonna fly down in that easy chair.
Genghis Khan could not keep all his kings pride with sleep. Climb that hill no matter how steep, we get to it.
Ooh-wee, ride me high, tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Oh no, we gonna fly down in that easy chair. Ooh-wee, ride me high, tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Oh no, we gonna fly down in that easy chair. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight. You've been a great audience. Give yourselves a hand. Especially want to thank the sap boilers.
Yeah.
Woo! And the band standing up here to my right, Marshall Ballew.
Thank you.
Want to thank our sound man and producer, Gio DeSocio.
Here, here.
Our videographer, Brian West. And of course, the Pittsburgh Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Greg and Nora, Dennis, and all the staff that makes us feel so at home here. And of course, we want to thank our affiliates and you, our listeners. Whether you're listening on the radio, on your computer, in your car, wherever you are, because without you, there'd be no Tokyo Rosenthal program. Good night, Carrie. I'm coming home. Ooh-wee, ride me high, tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Oh no, we gonna fly down in that easy chair. One more time, everybody. Ooh-wee, ride me high, tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Oh no, we gonna fly down in that easy chair. I sit down in that easy chair. Good night, everybody.